Ever been called selfish? Society says it's a flaw, but what if I told you that intelligent selfishness is actually the secret to a happier, more fulfilled life? Let's shatter this myth. Think about it. We're constantly told that putting others first is the path to being a good person. But here's the reality check. By always conforming to what everyone else wants, we actually neglect the most important person in our lives, ourselves. The issue isn't being selfish, it's being blindly selfless, to the point that we lose touch with our own needs and desires. We often think selfishness is a bad thing, right? But here's the twist. What if the selfishness we're avoiding is actually a form of self-love? Done intelligently, it's the key to living a life that's true to who you are. Today, we're going to dive into the lies we've been fed about selfishness and why embracing it can be the most liberating thing you do. We've all been told that the key to being a good person is to put others first, our families, our friends, our colleagues. From a young age, we're taught that sacrificing our own needs for the sake of others is a virtue. But this idea of selflessness is often a trap that leads us far away from what truly makes us happy. It's a myth society loves to sell because it keeps us compliant, easy to manage, and aligned with a set of expectations that aren't our own. How often have you agreed to do something you didn't want to do, just to avoid feeling selfish? How many times have you pushed aside your own dreams just to meet someone else's expectations? We're conditioned to believe that if we focus on ourselves, we're being self-centered, egoistic, and even unkind. But this kind of selflessness isn't about kindness. It's about conformity. It's about fitting into a mold that keeps us from exploring who we really are. True selflessness, in its distorted form, asks us to sacrifice our own desires, time, and energy until there's nothing left for ourselves. It creates a cycle of resentment and burnout. Instead of leading us to fulfillment, it drains us of our vitality. The real irony? By constantly putting others first, we become less effective, less happy, and less authentic. It's time to call out this lie for what it is: a societal narrative that stifles our growth and prevents us from living fully. Conforming to societal expectations might seem like the safe path, but it comes with a hidden cost that many of us don't recognize until it's too late. When we constantly mold ourselves to fit what others want, we slowly chip away at our own identity. It's like trying to squeeze into a role that wasn't made for us. Sure, it might feel comfortable at first, but eventually, it becomes suffocating. Let's look at how this shows up in everyday life. We spend time with people we don't like, pretending to enjoy conversations that drain us. Why? Because we're afraid of being seen as rude or antisocial. We go to events we don't care about, make small talk, and smile through it all just to fit in. And while it might seem like we're just being polite, what we're really doing is sacrificing our time and energy on things that don't fulfill us. At work, it's even worse. Many of us spend decades in jobs that don't bring us joy. We chase promotions and titles because that's what society tells us success looks like. We push through long hours and stressful projects, believing that hard work alone will make us happy. But in the end, we're left feeling empty, questioning why we spent so much time on a career that doesn't align with our passions. Even in our personal lives, we conform to the expectations of family and friends. We seek approval from our parents, follow their advice, and try to live up to their hopes, even when it means setting aside our own dreams. The price of this conformity is steep. By constantly trying to meet external standards, we lose touch with our authentic selves. And here's the sad truth. Most of us don't realize we've been living a life for others until it's too late. By the time we start questioning why we feel so unfulfilled, we're often deep into careers we don't love, relationships that drain us, and routines that leave us feeling empty. It's like waking up from a long sleep only to discover that we've spent years on autopilot, chasing a life that wasn't ours to begin with. The saddest part? Our true passions have faded, buried under layers of obligations and societal expectations. We look back and wonder where our energy, enthusiasm, and curiosity went. But it doesn't have to end this way. This is your wake-up call. You have the power to change direction right now. It's time to break free from the cycle of conformity, reclaim your life, and start living in a way that honors your desires and dreams. When we hear the word selfish, we often think of greed, neglect, or putting ourselves above others at any cost. But what if I told you there's a different kind of selfishness? One that's not about taking from others, but about giving yourself what you truly need. This is what I call intelligent selfishness, and it's the key to living a life aligned with your true values and desires. Intelligent selfishness isn't about ignoring the needs of others. It's about recognizing that you have needs too, and that your well-being matters. It's about understanding that when you prioritize yourself thoughtfully, you become a better friend, partner, employee, and human being. You can't pour from an empty cup, right? But by filling your own cup first, you show up more fully for the people and things that matter to you. So, how do you embrace intelligent selfishness in a way that feels authentic and balanced? It starts with self-awareness. Take a moment to ask yourself, what genuinely brings me joy? What activities make me feel most alive? These questions aren't selfish, they're necessary. Knowing what fuels your happiness and energy allows you to make decisions that support your well-being rather than undermine it. The next step is to set boundaries, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. We're often conditioned to say yes to everything because we want to be helpful, liked, or seen as a team player. Intelligent selfishness means learning to say no with grace. It's about being politely difficult, declining the extra task at work, skipping the social event that leaves you exhausted, and protecting your time for activities that recharge you. Releasing unnecessary commitments is another crucial element of intelligent selfishness. We often cling to obligations out of fear of letting someone down, fear of missing out, or fear of being judged. But let's face it, many of these commitments don't serve us. Letting go isn't about neglecting responsibility, it's about choosing the responsibilities that actually matter to you. When you do this, you create space in your life for what truly brings you fulfillment. Finally, practice self-faith. We often have been told all our lives that others know what's best for us. But others don't live our lives, do they? Believe in yourself. Believe you know what's best for you. This is how you develop faith within yourself. This is how you tap into true self-love. Before I go, I need to emphasize one more time. Choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's an act of self-love. Self-love isn't about neglecting everyone else. It's about recognizing that you matter too. When you honor your own desires and well-being, you're not taking away from anyone. You're simply giving yourself the care you deserve. Think of it like putting on your own oxygen mask first. If you're depleted, stressed, and unfulfilled, how can you genuinely support those around you? Instead of seeing self-love as indulgent, recognize it as essential. By loving yourself first, you become the best version of you, for both yourself and those you care about. Now let's make this real. Take a moment right now to reflect. Where in your life have you been saying yes when you really wanted to say no? What's one commitment or obligation you can release this week to honor your own needs? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your experiences and what you plan to change. If this message resonated with you and you want to learn how to say no and take back authority of your life, you know where to click. So hit that subscribe button. We're here to support each other in breaking free from the cycle of conformity and stepping into a life of true self-love. And always remember, a life you're proud of.